In America, civilians currently own nearly 250 million privately held firearms. That's roughly one shotgun, rifle, or pistol for every person, including infants. And every year, this global private arsenal only grows. Does this make things any safer? Well, that's a controversial question. We're in Texas. I would call the state the gun capital of America. For the local residents, the fundamental right to life and the inherent right to bear arms are truly of equally significant importance and profound value. That's precisely why the complex issue of openly carrying firearms freely, even in various public places and without requiring a special license, is currently being decided here right now. And I'm sure that this particular decision will change attitudes toward guns in all states. We're here to find out. How does life change when, if not every first person, then every second person has a gun either on their belt or in their car? Hi everyone. I'm Alina Polyanskikh, and this is my first time in an environment where guns are the norm. Honestly, it truly makes me feel uneasy, but at least no one around here has fired a shot yet.
But it's not for attacking anyone. We need guns, simply put, to make sure we live to see tomorrow.
You shouldn't mix alcohol with guns. That's a deadly combination. That's how I lost my son.
Well, obvious connections with government institutions. People don't just lose their minds for no reason, as a rule.
Criminals often live by their very own distinct laws, and they truly do not care about state, federal, or even city laws at all.
This gun isn't registered anywhere in the system. It exists, but no one knows about it.
If I absolutely have to kill for my inherent right to own a gun, then so be it. I'm not joking.
You're joking, right? This isn't real, is it?
It's a rifle.
Wait, so you just walk around the streets with it like that? At night? Although, wait, what night? It's still evening. It's only 10 o'clock. Why are you doing this?
Well, it's not for attacking anyone. I understand that some people use weapons for violence. Like the shooting that happened yesterday in California. When something like that happens, the issue isn't the weapon, it's the person. It's really important for black people to have weapons. In this country, we are constantly under attack. We frankly need weapons, just to make absolutely sure that we survive until tomorrow.
Corey, 20 years old, law academy student, dreams of becoming a police officer. In the evenings, he walks the streets with a rifle slung over his shoulder. The local police approve of his initiative. Corey is something like a 21st century vigilante in Dallas. Do you know how many mass shootings have happened in the States since the beginning of this year?
Well, at least a couple hundred.
Yeah, 230 as of today alone. A mass shooting is officially defined as an armed attack in which 4 or more individuals are killed, not counting the shooter themselves. Statistics on mass shootings in America have been kept since 2014, and the highest number shocked the country in the recent year of 2020, 610 cases. In 2019, there were 417 shootings and 337. In 2018, so for the past 4 years, there has been almost 1 mass shooting per day. 2021 is on track to set a new record. From January to June, there have already been 270 mass shootings. Considering that shootings usually happen in the second half of the year, the states could very well break the 2020 anti-record.
Have I ever had to use a weapon as it was originally intended? Yes, just once actually. I was 16 at the time.
Oh, good for you.
Oh my goodness, dude, that's absolutely incredible and truly astonishing. Wait, are you actually supporting that idea?
Of course. Do you have a weapon yourself? No, I don't have anything on me. Why would I? We've got him.
And back then, I had to fire from exactly the same kind of rifle. When I was 16, someone broke into our house, and I had to grab a weapon. I didn't even injure anyone, but I scared them off. And what if there hadn't been a weapon at home? I'm telling you, you never know what might happen, and how that same rifle could come in handy. So by law, everyone can and should have a weapon. The question is, how do you use it? Well, I walk around with a rifle, but I'm not holding it in a threatening way. My hands aren't on the trigger, so I'm not a threat. The police officers already know me, they drive by and greet me. Everything's fine. As long as I'm on my phone, as long as I'm not threatening anyone with a gun, everything is okay. Everyone is safe.
Most police officers I've ever talked to, and I can say this myself as an officer, we truly appreciate the fact that civilians have the desire to lawfully own and possess firearms. But it all comes down to proper training and a clear understanding of when you can and cannot legitimately use that weapon. It's simple. It's very important to fully understand in which specific situations you can use a firearm and to know precisely how to do so. Because many people think they can just pull out a gun, point it at someone, and scare them. No, if you truly don't understand what you currently have in your hands, it will most likely lead to you getting seriously hurt.
Patrick, how many weapons do you have in total?
Well, this is my rifle. There are a few more in the car, and all of these belong to my friend, Ilya. About...
Okay, I completely understand that now. Oh, wow. Not about collection, guys. And you were born and raised in Texas, right? What's it like living here? I truly love the great state of Texas.
I love all of this. I love Texas. First and foremost, I'm a Texan, and only then an American. I'm ready to die for Texas. Let America solve its own problems.
Patrick Sullivan, 37 years old, owner of a small electrical engineering company. In his free time, he enjoys hunting and shooting. Just for the soul.
So this particular game is actually called Police Station. Stop resisting. Well, in my considered opinion, guns definitely make the state significantly safer. See for yourself. I personally don't go out of my way to pick unnecessary fights or sort things out with people anymore, because I know they're potentially armed too, and you truly never know what kind of rough day they've genuinely had. Owning a gun and being inherently crazy are not the same thing.
It's a truly strange feeling when everyone around you has a gun. I honestly really feel like I'm in a movie, you know? It's actually scary.
Has anyone ever pointed one at you here? A gun at you? Has that ever happened? Number. Then what are you afraid of?
Has anyone ever threatened you with a weapon?
Number. Actually, wait, yes, twice. And did you pull out?
Yours response?
Number.
So what did you do?
I gave them my money.
Oh, so basically you were robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah, I didn't have a gun on me. Although, thinking about it now, I wouldn't have resisted or reached for a weapon. Not the first time, not the second time. It's cheaper to give them $100 than to catch a bullet.
Does having guns actually make the streets, in reality, a safer place for everyone?
Safer? It depends on the situation. Here's a clear example for you. The cities of Chicago, Washington, and the District of Columbia have some of the most stringent gun control laws, and as a direct result, they unfortunately experience the highest rates of gun violence among all major U.S. cities.
Kevin Lawrence, former police officer, head of the largest municipal police organization in Texas. The CMPA is engaged in protecting the rights of police officers throughout the entire state.
So overall safety in cities is regulated not only by laws, restrictions, and other legal norms. In Idaho, for example, the gun laws are among the most lenient. You can carry it with you anywhere, and at the same time, they have one of the lowest crime rates in the country. So you can't just say that restrictions make the streets safer. If anything, it's quite the opposite.
So it's one thing when people tell you in America almost every other person owns a gun, carries a gun. When you don't see it, when you're in a state where that's not the case, it all seems unreal to you. But when you arrive, you realize that here, everyone really does have one.
Yeah, well, it's like everything else. I guess we just get used to it. It's purely a matter of mentality. I mean, just for comparison, for example, when you come to Texas, it's impossible to live without a car because public transportation here is not very common. But when you come to New York, having a car is pretty pointless because public transportation works perfectly and you can get around much faster. It's just a mentality thing. As they say, you just get used to it.
Mikhail Orlov, the co-founder of Buy Corp, also makes money from selling various weapons.
When you see people carrying weapons here, you know it's a certain kind of symbol. It's just like how many people wear a cross. It's something they believe in. For them, carrying a weapon is a kind of symbol, a symbol of faith in freedom, faith in independence. It's a sign to their government, like, guys, do your job, but don't forget. We are the people, our word matters. And that word is backed by the right to bear arms. So if what you're doing on Capitol Hill is something we don't agree with and tyranny starts us against youth, and we are armed, don't forget that, especially for Texas, this is a very significant symbol.
The Second Amendment to the US Constitution guarantees the people's right to keep and bear arms. It was adopted by Congress in 1789 and ratified in 1791. At that time, the authorities decided that a well-regulated militia was essential for the security of the state. The text of the amendment reads as follows: Since a well-regulated militia is necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The wording can be interpreted in different ways. For example, it's unclear whether it refers to any kind of weapon or only those necessary for militiamen. There's a lot of debate surrounding the amendment. Twice already, courts in Washington and Chicago have overturned restrictive interpretations of the amendment. If it's allowed, then it's allowed. And that's that.
Yes, it's simply unsafe. It's absurd. Think about it. The Second Amendment was written and adopted at a time when automatic and semi-automatic weapons weren't even imagined. The weapons were very simple. Bang, bang. But technology has advanced far ahead, and the laws haven't kept up. It's obvious that all amendments and restrictions should change along with the weapons. But that just isn't happening.
It's all political games. In the last elections in Texas, the Democrats were supposed to win by a huge margin. A new Democratic wave was approaching. But that didn't happen. The Republicans stayed in power, but after such a tense election, they started to worry about their seats. And how can they secure the votes of their conservative constituents except by doubling down on their conservative ideas? That's how this new bill came about, which gives everyone and anyone the right to carry weapons. They know exactly what to play on. Right now, people are already very divided, so what issue divides them even more? Only guns? They're doing everything they can to get the maximum financial support, voters' voices, and to keep their well-thought-out positions.
Do you feel in danger, or on the contrary, do you feel protected?
I'm not scared. On the contrary, I feel inspired. It's possible. You can do all this legally.
By the way, Corey, do you need a license to carry a rifle? Just like that? On yourself?
I don't need a license.
You really do not actually need a specific license to buy a gun. But to carry a handgun, you do need to get a license. That means you will have to go through a minimal amount of training and then successfully pass an exam. However, soon, according to a new law, mandatory licensing will be abolished, and you'll be able to carry a gun without a license or any training.
We have special classes to prepare for the license exam. It's an 8-hour course, with 4 hours of theory and 4 hours of practice at the shooting range. Then you also have to pass an exam, which is 50 shots from different distances. The advantage of this program is that the classroom session teaches you how to handle a weapon and how to behave with it in public, which is important. In the end, you have to complete the program, then pass the exam at the shooting range, and if you have a clean record, no criminal history, the administration will send you a carry license.
Is it hard to pass this exam if, for example, you've never shot before?
Most people come here thinking they can just shoot a bit, immediately pass the exam, and get a license. That's not quite the case. You need to understand how to use a weapon, how to load it. You need to know the safety rules, and so on.
I've never shot before, except maybe with toy guns as a kid, with plastic bullets. So, Birgit, are you scared, Lesha? Yes.
No, seriously.
Spread your elbows, aim again, hold still.
Carefully, very carefully, please proceed.
And slowly squeeze the trigger. Go on, go on.
So,
would I pass?
The upcoming final exam?
If you shot all 50 rounds like that, yes, of course you would pass.
I would just pass on the first try. I'll move to Texas and get myself sorted out.
The problem with Texas is also that if you want to buy a gun, you can go to a licensed store, and there they won't sell you anything without checking your criminal record. Ideally, they might even ask for a license, which means you have some skills in handling firearms. But you can just as easily buy a gun from your neighbor at the summer house, can't you? Or you could meet someone at the supermarket and buy a gun from them, or sell your own, right in the middle of the street. Such private sales are legal, and no one knows who they're selling to.
Now, that's our particular way of doing things. Should anyone who feels like it perhaps be able to readily buy a gun? Probably not. Well, there are already established laws for that. There are all those comprehensive checks for criminal records and what else for mental health as well.
Well, it's very formal. They don't check anything, in fact.
Of course they check.
Ilya Zagnitko, programmer, shooting enthusiast. In America since 1994. I have lived in different states, but I consider Texas my home.
Every single time I have bought, for example, the very least, this particular one, you make an order. It truly varies from time to time. On one occasion, I only had about an hour. You just wait in the store, and a response comes from the FBI. Sometimes you wait a week or two.
But that's a criminal background check. What about mental health? Have you ever been checked for that, even once?
I've never really been checked for mental health.
Not even once?
As of today, there are no medical checks at all. The only thing they check is whether you have a criminal record. So naturally, when an individual is buying a firearm, we conduct a thorough background check, which is carefully filtered through various extensive databases, including the official FBI databases and many regional and local law enforcement databases.
But how truly deep is this background check? For example, what if, as a young teenager, you and your friends simply stole a Coke from a local supermarket?
Well, I understand. But here, everything that happens before the age of 18, as a rule, after a person turns 18, all of that history is usually erased. So it doesn't show up. According to the established rules, by law, if it does not explicitly appear in the official records and the FBI gives the definitive okay on the background check, we absolutely cannot refuse. To sell the firearm,
You can buy it from the age of 18. It's very simple. You come in, they look at you, check your background, and if everything's okay, they sell it to you. So if you're mentally ill or something's wrong, they won't sell it to you.
How many of those rifles do you have?
A 15 reals
is a semi-automatic rifle. It fires in such a way that you have to reload after each shot, meaning it's not automatic fire. This is the most popular weapon in America. It's used for hunting, for shooting at clay targets, for competitions, and it's a fairly affordable rifle. Now it's gotten a bit more expensive and costs about $799. Before COVID, it was $500. And this is the most affordable pistol, only $369. Of course, you can find one even cheaper. You can buy a pistol for about $200. Granted, it will be ugly and heavy, but it will shoot. And for guys from rough neighborhoods, that's basically all that matters. As long as they have protection, that's good. That's what guns are for, to protect yourself.
Interestingly, kids can legally purchase a rifle like this at the age of 18. But pistols like these are only available for acquisition at the age of 21.
Yeah, who even cares? I honestly don't see anything scary about that at all. But it's just idiotic that you can drive a car at 16, but you can only drink at 21. These laws aren't based on any logic at all. They're completely disconnected from reality. When you're 18, you're considered an adult. Yeah, right. I made quite a few bad decisions when I was 18.
This is my beloved son. He was only 23 years old. That fateful evening, he had dinner with his loving father, went to a lively hip-hop concert, and then kept on partying at a friend's house. There was just a gun lying casually on the coffee table, and no one even knew if it was loaded or not at all. One of his friends handed the gun to my son, and he, being left-handed, instinctively took it with his right hand and somehow accidentally pulled the trigger and shot himself. That's how I lost my son.
Liz Ross is a dedicated member of several human rights organizations, actively advocates for responsible gun storage and handling, diligently develops legislative acts, and frequently gives safety lectures to students.
Believe me, just
After our tragedy, I studied the issue very thoroughly. There are scientific studies that prove the brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. That's a scientific fact. But still, we allow 18-year-olds to have guns, even though we know perfectly well that at this age they are still impulsive. Car rental companies don't let young people rent cars or want them to pay extra, because they know young people like to take risks on the road and test the limits of what's allowed. So we take driving more seriously than carrying a gun?
the governor hasn't signed the new law yet, but he has made it clear that he will. What will this change? Pretty much everything. Right now, if you have a gun with you, it means you've at least passed some kind of test and have some idea of what to do with that weapon. Plus, if you bought it legally, your criminal record has been checked. But with the new law, none of that will be required. You buy it, stick it in your waistband, and off you go.
In other words, right now, the law assumes that if you have a weapon with you somewhere in a public place, in other words, right now, the law assumes that if you have a weapon with you somewhere in a public place, it means with the new law, it's enough for you to meet the qualifications for a license and you don't actually have to have one. Of course, when this comes into effect, there will be many people who by law are not allowed to carry weapons, but now will do so.
Will this make the problem worse?
Oh, absolutely. There will be too many people with weapons in public places, and this will make the police's job harder, because right now, we can stop someone and ask them to show their carry license. And after the new law comes into effect, we won't have that option. What license can you ask for if it's no longer required? This will make police work more stressful and more dangerous. That's for sure.
Which one of them would you agree to sell a weapon to? Who seems more trustworthy?
Oh, they're all so young, just kids, really.
Well, you can buy a rifle at 18.
Well, this one looks a bit more serious, at least older.
Which of these guys would you agree to sell a weapon to?
They both seem trustworthy, but this one less so.
These two. Which of them can be trusted with a weapon? Well, this one can. Yeah, this one is okay. Yes, this one looks more reliable. But what if I told you that they are the most notorious mass shooters in the US? They're all killers, right? Yes. I printed out photos of America's most brutal mass shooters. Over the years, they killed dozens of adults and children. Student Paddock opened fire on a crowd in Las Vegas. 59 dead and 546 wounded. Omar Mateen shot up a gay bar. 49 people were killed on the spot, 53 wounded. Omar himself was shot dead during the arrest. Sang Hui Cho shot students at the university where he studied. 32 victims. Adam Lanza opened fire at Sandy Hook Elementary School. He was responsible for 26 deaths. George Henner drove his pickup truck into a restaurant, then opened fire on the patrons. He killed 23 people and wounded 27 more. He then shot himself. 11th graders Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold committed a mass killing at their school. They killed 13 people and wounded 23. They then shot themselves.
What a nightmare. I try to trust people, but in a country where guns are allowed, it can lead to tragedy.
This one shot 12 people and the other one 26. Oh my goodness, that's an incredibly large number of people.
But I told you this would happen, that in the end they're all criminals.
And you certainly made the absolutely right choice. He only shot a mere 12 people, which is 4 times less than the other one did.
Oh God, where people are tragically dying, there probably can't even be a truly right choice.
When I sell weapons, I truly do not feel like I'm somehow contributing to the spread of crime or anything like that. It's still the sole responsibility of each individual person.
So, if someone truly and really wants to, they can always find any way around weapons, right?
Of course, I think history clearly shows that. That is, again, in those specific cases where someone deliberately gets into a truck and drives it at full speed into a crowd, or there have been instances where poison is used, when, again, someone sprinkles poison on products in a store. There are indeed certain cases when someone carefully fills something with a suitable fertilizer. A truck pulls up to a federal building, like what happened in Oklahoma in 1995, and blows it up along with the children inside. So when the human mind channels this inherently destructive side, it's usually very difficult to effectively prevent it simply by, let's say, outright banning the sale, distribution, or even the mere possession of certain items.
Of various and varied types of weapons.
It's all due to a lack of knowledge. All problems come from that. You, of all people, should know how the media and the internet demonize gun culture. Personally, that really gets to me. It infuriates me when someone says, let's ban guns, because they end up in the hands of irresponsible people. That's not true. I'm responsible. Well, almost. Let's just say I've learned my lessons.
When you hear about these tragic mass shootings happening, how do you truly feel about them?
A lot of them really do stink, to be completely honest. I mean, it's quite hard to truly believe the official version of what actually happened. Naturally, it's clear that every time this happens, it's used for certain purposes. Let's put it that way.
For what purpose?
To effectively restrict access to firearms for ordinary law-abiding citizens.
So why exactly does the state truly care whether people have guns or not?
The state is a repressive apparatus, any state. That's why naturally any state feels much more at ease when its citizens are unarmed. Every single time a shooting incident happens, they immediately say we absolutely need to ban, for example, Kalashnikovs. Or yes, M16s, then shotguns also need to be banned, and then pistols. If you consider the state of California, you simply cannot own something like this in California. This is a standard 30-round capacity magazine. In California, the limit is, I think, 5 or 10. So does this actually make people feel safer? I don't know. A guy who comes to shoot up a kid at school, well, he's not gonna bring just 3 10-round magazines. I mean, I know there have been a lot of similar cases in the States, but there are pretty obvious connections with government institutions that people don't just use it for no reason, as a rule.
In July 2016, 5 police officers were shot and killed in Dallas, and 8 more were wounded. This happened during a peaceful protest against police brutality. Shortly before that, 2 African Americans had died at the hands of law enforcement, and people took to the streets to protest. That shootout resulted in the largest loss of police lives since the tragedy of the 11th of September. By the way, the attacker was neutralized by detonating a bomb on a remote-controlled robot. Despite all this violence, law enforcement officers themselves, at least in Texas, support the idea of civilians owning firearms.
It just broke my heart, but at the same time, I am very proud because these officers died protecting people who came to protest against them, against police brutality. Just think about it. As soon as the police saw that a protester was about to shoot into the crowd, they rushed to protect them. That makes me proud of my profession and the people I serve with. It is unbearably painful that we lost 5 wonderful people that evening. But it became a kind of legacy for the men and women in the police force.
Would the very same thing have happened if guns weren't allowed?
The issue isn't about guns, it's that there are bloodthirsty people everywhere, and they will always find a way to do something like this.
The states with the most mass shootings in the US are California, Illinois, Florida, Texas, and New York. California is the most populous state, with nearly 40 million people living there. California's comprehensive gun laws are widely considered some of the most stringent and strictest in the entire country. New York, which rounds out the top 5, has half as many people, and the laws are just as strict. Do these bans actually make the streets safer? It's debatable.
My situation is complicated. I lost one son due to careless handling of a firearm. But I have another son who loves hunting and can't imagine life without guns. There have always been guns in our family. My husband taught the boys how to use them and went hunting with them. I had to find a middle ground to honor the memory of one son and respect the passion of the other. That's why I'm not against guns. I'm against careless attitudes toward them.
If your children understand and know how to handle guns, how did it happen that your son died basically out of carelessness, out of foolishness?
He knew
How to handle them, but he didn't know how to tell the homeowner to put the gun away. That's something I'm teaching now young people. Plus, they were drinking, having fun, and not thinking about anything. That's exactly how such tragedies happen. At 23, you just want to have a good time. Safety concerns barely cross your mind. You shouldn't mix alcohol and guns, it's a deadly combination. No one will be held responsible for his death. No charges, no criminal cases. I don't know why that is. Why isn't negligence with firearms considered a crime in Texas? And when I tried to hold someone accountable, everyone just kept repeating the same thing to me. How can this be? How can you cause even more suffering? To someone who has already witnessed such horror,
Since the beginning of 2021, 138 children and 537 teenagers have fallen victim to gun violence. In total, more than 20,000 people have died in firearm-related incidents in the States this year. A little over half of those were registered as suicides. There were 999 accidental shootings. In fact, when talking about firearms, the conditions for obtaining them, licensing, and other formalities, it's also important to understand that in America there are so-called ghost guns, meaning shadow or unregistered weapons. And it's not about buying them off the street or finding them around the corner. The point is that in the States you can order components for firearms online, over the internet, and finish it at home, filing something here, adjusting something there. You can assemble a pistol, rifle, or shotgun at home, and no one will ever know that this firearm exists. The king, or rather the godfather of this kind of shadow weapon, is considered to be Cody Wilson, a 33-year-old engineer who has often been called one of the most dangerous people on Earth and on the internet. And now, here in Austin, he and his friends have founded the company and are producing 3D printers for home printing of firearms, rifles, and automatic weapons. How many of these printers do you make per day?
We produce about 10 to 12 a day at most. We can't do more because of our capacity. Each machine has about 80 components. It's a very complex process.
Cody Wilson created the world's first 3D printed pistol in 2013 and posted the blueprints with detailed instructions. For making weapons online, the US government banned posting such material, but Wilson filed a lawsuit claiming that this restricted his rights to free speech and to bear arms. In 2018, that is 5 years later, the court ruled that what Wilson was doing amounted to promoting terrorism. However, Wilson stated that this decision only applies to the free distribution of documents online. And he started selling blueprints for 3D printed weapons. Now he also sells the printers themselves. And you sell out everything instantly.
What are you talking about? We have a waiting list for these machines.
Wow, and how long is the wait?
Well, you'll have to wait about 6 to 8 months. Demand is many times higher than what we can handle.
Hey, why don't you just launch another production line?
It's a very expensive business. It requires investment. And as you can imagine, no one wants to get involved with weapons, let alone be affiliated with shadow weapons.
How did you even come to this? How did the idea come about?
I was inspired by Julian Assange. He started the kind of game that politicians in 2010 simply couldn't allow anyone to play. He made public information that those in power definitely didn't want to be revealed. And I thought, how can you play the same game but in the world of weapons? How can you get around the established rules without breaking them? That's how the idea was born, to simply give people free access to knowledge, to teach them how to make weapons themselves.
And now you have a large warehouse with advanced machines where you can print as many weapons as you want.
Yeah, this machine right here. Well, it's not finished yet, but you get the idea. With it, you can make the main components of a rifle or an automatic weapon from metal or plastic parts.
Am I right in thinking that this is indeed truly the original assault rifle?
AK-47.
An AK-47, a classic firearm, made in Russia, specifically in Izhevsk, Russia, and more precisely, Yagorda, Izhevsk. With this remarkable machine, we can now create exactly the same thing right here at home, and no one will ever truly know that I have a weapon.
Yes. The point is that, in America, only one part of a firearm is subject to mandatory registration. All the other parts you can easily buy online. The main thing is to make at home the part that's supposed to have the serial number, and that's it.
So you can buy one of these machines and then make as many guns as you want. How much is it? $2,000 perhaps?
Yes, $2,000.
And how much do these parts, the components for really finishing all the gun actually cost?
Well, it varies. This one, for example, we sell for $59, maybe $60. Some things are more expensive because we don't get them directly. Again, it depends on the material. You can get aluminum, you can get plastic. All in all, I think it won't cost more than $200.
So you buy a machine like this, get the components, finish them in this machine, assemble it, and you have a ready-made automatic weapon. So this one is the original, and where was the second one? I just want to show that it will look exactly the same. And this one was made on the machine, and it's exactly the same and shoots just the same.
Yes, all the parts were bought online, and the main one was made on our machine. As a result, this barrel doesn't show up in the system at all. It exists, but no one knows about it.
Both the overall appearance and the power are the same.
Yes, but this is what's often called a ghost gun.
Texas, there isn't that much shadow weaponry. And why would you need it when you can buy a gun easily and openly, order a machine, the components, and print it? Here it ends up being more expensive than just going out and buying one. Shadow weapons are relevant where there are strict restrictions and you can't just buy a gun around the corner. Here, it's not an issue for us. Here, shadow weapons are still illegal. By law, every unit must have a serial number and be registered, and the police monitor this.
According to US federal law, manufacturing and owning firearms for non-commercial purposes has always been legal and was never goose barrels illegal or Irlanda. Only in some specific states have comprehensive laws been passed that significantly restrict the production of privately made firearms. In most states, unfinished components are sold without any federal or state background check requirements. Ghost guns are not registered in most states, except for New York, New Jersey, Washington, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Virginia, and California, where local laws subject them to the same regulations as other firearms. But roughly speaking, in most states you can freely print a gun for yourself, but selling it is prohibited. It feels strange to hold a gun in your hands.
Oh, really? Are you scared? I think there's a certain confidence in it, you know? When you know how to make something yourself, that's where the power lies. And how can the authorities take that power away from you?
But do you feel personally responsible for the mass shootings across the country?
As far as I know, there hasn't been a single case yet where our shadow weapons have shown up. I understand that the responsibility would fall on me. But so far, that hasn't happened. Our clients are careful with the knowledge they've acquired.
Then why do they need these shadow weapons?
If they're not using it for crime, our clients aren't criminals. They're just ordinary people who want some privacy, you know? After the Snowden story, there was a demand for privacy online. It's the same thing here. People want to have their own personal space where the government doesn't stick its nose in. They want to know how to make weapons, because someone can take your weapon away from you, but no one can take away your knowledge.
How many of these machines have you sold already?
We have 3 generations of these machines. We've sold thousands. Specifically, we've sold 1,800 units of this model, and another 1,200 are on pre-order. So how many is that? 4,000?
Well, that's a lot. After all, they're probably being resold on eBay too.
Yes, they're being resold at double or triple the price. You can even see them for sale for 6,000.
But what if these machines end up in the hands of really bad guys? Terrorists like ISIS, for example, pose a significant threat.
They don't need these machines. The American authorities will hand them those weapons themselves. Why would they need to print them? Not that I'm the smartest, but it's quite obvious.
There's a very interesting philosophical question here. The philosophical question is as follows. It's about the relationship between the individual and society. This is about the individual and us, groups of individuals as a society. And here, it's about this balance where does responsibility lie? That is, should society somehow limit the individual from his own responsibility through laws, through banning the sale of weapons, or does society still believe that things will be better if this responsibility remains with the individual? but that's already philosophy.
And where do you stand? I'm for individual responsibility.
About weapons, it concerns most rights in general.
What you see in this particular room is, in fact, quite classic, an American family, American heritage. But if we're talking about us, yes, this is all from one single family. As far as I know the history, though I don't know it completely, but everything you see here, the antique pistols and the various weapons, we bought all of this. Grandma's husband passed away. So basically, Grandma decided to sell it.
So, in other words, an arsenal like this could really exist in a typical ordinary house located in the state of Texas.
Absolutely, yes. Well, that's exactly where it originally came from. But I think it's incredibly important, first of all, to talk about how many generations before you, your parents, your dad, your mom, your grandfather, your grandmother, how many of them had significant experience with various types of weapons and how truly close these weapons were to their daily lives. Because it's primarily from our parents, from our grandparents that we inherit these things. That first introduction to anything at all comes from them. With a car, with weapons, I don't know, with nature, it could be anything at all. And the way we are introduced to these things, how we are introduced, that's what shapes our attitude and our perception. And that's exactly what creates this culture within us. I can say that since I grew up in Belarus and came to the US, to Texas, when I was 27, and I've been here for 15 years now, but even after these 15 years, I still haven't developed that casual attitude toward weapons that is typical and natural for native Texans. Why? Because, again, in my youth, in my childhood, no one instilled in me, showed me, or explained to me what weapons are, how to handle them, how to be cautious, what wrong steps or improper behavior with weapons are, and so on. That's why to this day, it's just not in my blood. But in reality, of course, I really wish I had it, that I could feel it. That kind of ease with handling weapons so that at the very least, there wouldn't be any fear, so that there would be confidence that weapons are overall a useful thing for protecting your rights, for protecting your property, and things like that.
Do you have a weapon? Do you use it?
I have a weapon, but I can't really say that I use it all the time. But yes, I do have a weapon. I have several types of weapons, and each one is for a different purpose.
That's it. It's not so straightforward in Texas. They conducted a study here, a pretty serious and long-term study, and it has repeatedly confirmed that the majority does not support open carry of firearms. That is, if people were asked, most likely, they would reject open and unrestricted carry. But this is a political issue. And for those in power, allowing open carry is a serious political move. And the rest of them just support it to simply keep up.
I'm sorry to say this, but this is a struggle that will continue. For more than one generation to come, we fought just the same for women's rights, for the rights of African Americans, for the rights of the LGBT community. This is a very serious struggle that doesn't end in a single day. And we must not give up. We have to keep pushing our agenda. Mass shootings, that's just the tip of the iceberg. How many deaths do we have every year from firearms? And how many suicides? Approximately 2/3 of all suicides are committed with a firearm. We need to take a comprehensive approach to the issue of firearms, but unrestricted carrying is definitely not the solution.
Firearms are a right to life, just as we were once given the natural right simply to exist in this world, to hunt animals, or to go fishing exactly in the same way. Firearms give you the right to be protected, to feel safe in any situation that may arise in this world.
And what are you gonna do next? What if these machines for printing weapons are simply declared illegal?
What could possibly be illegal about this? What? I can't own a 3D printer in America? Or will there be certain things that I'm allowed to print on it? I can't imagine something like that happening in our country. They know this perfectly well, even better than I do. Banning these machines is the same as banning personal computers. It's unrealistic. It's too late. It's too late.
In short, here's what I think about gun control and tightening the laws. Only law-abiding citizens will follow the rules and end up without weapons. Criminals couldn't care less about your laws. The culture we live in now simply can't exist without weapons anymore. Criminals will have them anyway, no matter what laws anyone makes. And I don't want to end up in a world where some people have weapons and others, including myself, do not.
Can you imagine that? It's strange to ask this in a state where just yesterday carrying was legalized, open carry. But still, can you imagine the country deciding to take a step back?
To give up on.
Or at least to seriously tighten things up, yes.
I'm not denying it could happen. For me, it's most likely connected to a change in mentality in the future. That is, it's probably the generation of our grandchildren. Again, with changes in society, with changes in their mindset, it's quite possible that for them it will become, they'll look at it differently somehow. But it's unlikely to happen in the next 20 to 30 years.
They won't be able to ban guns simply because there's the Second Amendment, which allows the American people to have weapons to protect themselves and their country. But what's the point if, in New York, there are very strict gun laws? There are still countless shootings and deaths there. It's the same in Chicago. Bans only work for one group of people. Criminals often live by their own distinct rules, and they truly don't care about federal, state, or even city laws. They live in their own isolated world, and that will always be a significant and persistent threat.
Are you ready to fight for your right to bear arms?
I'm already fighting for my right to bear arms, every day. Don't you see?
I mean, are you ready to defend your right with a weapon in your hands and die for that?
Right? Well, ultimately, the threat has to be justified. Violence is acceptable, I believe. I would never say that violence is unacceptable. Of course, yes. We all understand that. And there are times when terror becomes acceptable. But I support resolving issues peacefully.
Texas is indeed the guardian of the Second Amendment. We don't joke about our rights here.
And do you think that everyone in this country should have access to firearms?
Yes, everyone. Especially if you're a law-abiding citizen.
Kevin, don't you think it would be easier to tighten the laws or even ban them altogether? And that would be the end of it?
Well, first of all, that would go against the Constitution. Secondly, if that happened and people didn't like it, they just vote those authorities out and put new ones in charge. That's all there is to it. Ban firearms? That's not even on the agenda. The only question is control over what's happening.
Am I holding it right? You are, yes. Spread your legs a bit wider. Yes. And at the knees, will it knock me over? Yes. Push forward and down.
And look, how do you do it with one eye, through this thing? All right, everyone clear out, I'm ready.
To shoot the basketball into the hoop with precision.
Whoa.
I like
this. What did you say? What kind of gun is this?
Tikka small caliber rifle.
So this is a Finnish Tikka small caliber rifle. First of all, you don't even realize you're shooting, honestly. I mean, it has virtually no noticeable recoil. It's certainly not loud at all. It's just like a harmless toy. And secondly, all these intricate actions involved with carefully reloading the bolt, the distinctive way it visually looks, all of it just genuinely makes you truly desire it.
It's like having two dicks, you know?
It's a real release. But seriously, jokes aside, I think it's some kind of Texas syndrome. Because yesterday I was shaking, my hands were trembling, my palms were sweating just from the sight of a gun, but today, you see, I calmly pick it up and shoot. It just seems to me that because it's truly everywhere around you, you kind of lose, that essential connection to reality. You completely lose your fear. No, seriously, I genuinely mean it. Perhaps it's just a simple matter of gradually getting used to it. But I'd rather call it the Texas syndrome. Patrick, what if they amend the Constitution and repeal the Second Amendment?
Well, come and take it from me.
In Texas, we say,
come and take it. Let them try, let's see what they're capable of. I don't have kids. And I'm not married. If I have to kill for my right to bear arms, then so be it. I'm not joking.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask. What does a gun mean to you?
Freedom. Freedom to do what I truly want,